very good memory of the last speech which I delivered in this very place. That was a Ludwig Erhard lecture, and at that moment I was speaking about how we can build Europe's digital economy. I must say that 1 year later I have to take nothing back from what I said then, because, well, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on where you are standing, the situation has not changed. And Europe needs more than ever this digital single market, because we really need to help the consumers and the businesses. I am always uneasy when some think we have to do a policy for the businesses, which will be then against the consumers, or we'll have to do a policy for the consumers, which then will be against the businesses. No, those two belong together as the two sides of the same medal. But the problem is, for consumers and for businesses, that we have currently 27 digital markets instead of having just one, because there are far too many cross-border problems that prevent businesses, that prevent citizens from benefiting from the digital single market. You probably know the figures. 2 out of 3 EU households have internet connections, but only 8% of consumers buy online from another member state. And when you consider that an EU-wide test of online shops has shown that only 39% of those online shops allow to place an order if you come from another country. Now you can understand why so few people buy online. And me coming from a small member state, it's even more evident, because we do not have such a big place where to shop. We have to go across border, but we very often cannot take advantage of the single market, which does not yet exist. So we have to build consumer confidence in the digital single market to achieve a good environment for e-commerce. Of course, we have to reduce the bureaucratic barriers, because they do add unnecessary cost for business, and they very much chill also the inclination for the trade across borders. Now, that is the real goal of Europe's digital agenda, which is, by the way, the first flagship initiative under Europe 2020 strategy, and which is skillfully drafted by my colleague Nelly Cruz. The digital agenda tackles the main barriers to market access, highlights the benefits of cross-border digital services in order to get Europe back on track in economic terms. Here there is a lot of economic gains to be made. Now, the Commission's digital agenda highlights how various challenges are interrelated, because already when you take them in isolation, the problems like lack of trust or fragmented digital markets are very serious concerns. But if you put them all together, then they are the perfect recipe for the underachievement of the digital age. Achieving a virtuous circle for the economic union is therefore a very big priority for the Commission. In my new portfolio of justice, that means building trust for consumers and providing legal certainty for internet users. The Consumer Rights Directive, as you rightly said, and the Data Protection Directive are two crucial instruments in order to solve the problems of the digital economy. Let me start with the Consumer Rights Directive. This legislation, as you know, lies at the heart of the consumer policy in Europe. And I believe that we need to maintain the momentum, a constructive momentum, towards the adoption of legislative proposals.
because a swift adoption of new proposals will boost the confidence of consumers and traders alike in cross-border purchases. And that is why I really do count on the Belgian presidency, which has a goal to get political agreement on the 10th of December's Competitiveness Council. This political agreement would then clear the way to adoption in the course of 2011. Now, I am a realist, and I know that flexibility is needed if we want to reach the goal. We will not be able to achieve full harmonization across the board, as it was originally proposed. Like it or don't like it, that's how things are. And if you like to go to the direction of full harmonization, you will be blocked, nothing will be happening. So that is the reason why, in the name of the Commission, I said the Commission will be flexible, not throwing out the baby with the bathwater, but trying to find solutions which are in the interest of consumer confidence in our internal market. We should focus on those areas, therefore, I believe, but of course I'm in the hands of the European Parliament and in the Council of Ministers here, but I have made it very clear that we should focus on those areas where the internal market impact is the biggest. I'm referring particularly to Chapter 3 on distance and off-premise contracts, because this chapter is essential for boosting e-commerce. Now, most governments accept that progress has to be made to develop the digital single market. We must fully harmonize the specific rules which allow distant traders and direct sellers to move beyond their national borders. For instance, the rule on the 14 days cooling off period or the standard withdrawal forms will give distant traders and direct sellers the legal certainty they need in order to make offers. And only if they make offers will then the consumers take benefit of these offers. Well, these two elements would give to the consumers a cooling off period, the same one all over Europe, wherever they purchase a product online. Further work in Parliament and in Council will show which points we can push through and on which points we should stick to the current level of consumer protection. I'm not ideological about this. I just want the best result. And you can count on me to that my work with the two lawmaking institutions will be strongly inspired by the need to achieve a more integrated single market online for businesses and consumers. As Justice Commissioner in charge of civil and commercial law, I also know that beyond the Consumer Directive, there remains a fundamental discussion about the divergences between national contract laws. And that is why, just before the summer, the Commission has proposed several policy options for a possible European contract law. This important public consultation runs until the end of January 2011. So we are waiting now to see what will be the input from the consumer side, from the small and medium business side, from the big industry side, from the political side, in order to see is this an interesting concept? Should we go ahead with this? And with what system should we go ahead? Now, my first priority in that respect is very clear. Cut red tape. And this is true for businesses and for consumers alike. For businesses, it's very clear. They are reluctant to trade across borders because there are too many differences between the different national contract laws, and those entail costs, fees, legal uncertainty. And here I think especially about the small companies. Can you imagine an SME which has very little manpower, cannot have also 27 lawyers knowing about 27 legal systems? And the reason is very clear, then they do not sell. And they cut themselves off from a very strong economic possibility. But 99% of our industries are SMEs. So here we got the lifeblood of our EU economy. And we have to help this lifeblood to develop. Consumers. As I already said, they often cannot buy products from other member states because the businesses refuse to sell. Consumers in smaller member states, as I say, are the most punished because they are punished with lesser choice and higher prices. Now, the contract law option paper includes different ways to respond to these concerns, including the design of trusted online mechanisms that traders could opt for when offering their products in different markets. In this sense, in my opinion, but I have to listen in the public consultation and in the expert groups and in the economic board which I have set up for this purpose, have to listen first. But I think that here we could have an interesting complement to the Consumer Rights Directive for business, which would par ricochet also help the consumers. So it is not neither or, it is and. Another element to boost business and consumer confidence is strong data protection. We must make sure that consumers can surf, can shop without worrying about the safety of their personal information. The confidence of consumers in new technologies can only grow if their rights are clearly enforced. And as a means of collecting personal data is becoming increasingly sophisticated and less easily detectable, consumers should be very aware by whom and why their data is collected and processed and what their rights are in this whole process. Now, to strengthen individual rights and enhance the internal market dimension of data protection, that is the goal, and that is why in October I will present an outline for the revision of the current Data Protection Directive. I want consumers and businesses to benefit from a consistent set of rules which will be applied coherently in 27 member states. First, transparency must be strictly applied. Whether you are online or offline, you should get full, easily accessible and easy to understand information on how your data is going to be processed. Moreover, the collection of personal data should serve a legitimate purpose and not go beyond what is strictly necessary. I therefore intend to strengthen the concept of data minimization. Data should be collected under and processed only under informed consent of a person to whom they relate. You know the current rules. They say that an individual's consent should be, and I quote, a freely given specific and informed indication of his and her wishes. Well, that's wishful thinking, because unfortunately this rule is interpreted in a very different way, in different places, by different actors. And therefore I want to clarify and strengthen the rules of consent and make that these rules of consent is equally applied in the whole internal market. My objective also is to cut red tape. In order to lessen the administrative burden and to reduce cost for businesses, the current system of notification must simply be simplified. Well, I have listened to many in the business world, and their explanations about the rules they have to follow today is horrifying. I think it's very cumbersome, this general obligation to notify all data processing. In order to make things efficient, they have to be simple and simple to apply. At the same time, I want to enhance the responsibility of data controllers, because they are the ones who should put in place effective mechanisms to ensure compliance with data protection rules and do it on the same pattern everywhere in Europe. Ladies and gentlemen, the Internet is global, and data from the EU should also be protected when transferred and processed outside the EU. To that end, I intend to improve and strengthen and streamline the current procedures for international data transfers. In tackling data protection, particularly online, and preparing new rules, we are very much looking into the future. How can we build a strong, a coherent digital single market? What can we do to encourage new technologies in an environment where consumers know their rights? Let me give you one example. Privacy by design. I believe that could be a solution. Data protection compliance should be embedded through the entire life cycle of technologies and procedures. That would have made it much more easy for everybody, for developers, for businesses, and for consumers who can have security. And as you already said, Madam, we also have to make the digital single market a cybercrime-safe environment, because cybercrime is destroying this digital market. For example, we need to tackle the danger of botnets, those networks of infected computers. You know that they stage large-scale coordinated attacks and damage entire economies. Now, I am working on criminal sanctions against people responsible for these kinds of cyber attacks. Ladies and gentlemen, the Commission recently presented a targeted long-term strategy for sustainable inclusive growth, the Europe 2020 strategy, which aims at removing obstacles in the single market and increase the mobility of our citizens, of our services, of our investments. We have an untapped potential in our hands. These 500 million consumers in a huge single market. But it is untapped still because we have not utilized it to its full potential, but it will be one of the ways out of our crisis. So my priorities as EU Justice Commissioner is to feel that citizens feel at ease in that big single market. Wherever they go, whatever they do, wherever they work, wherever they conduct business, they should be confident that their rights are protected, no matter in which place of the Union they choose to be. And here is where a well-functioning area of justice and security has a very important role to strengthen the single market, because boosting confidence in our justice system is crucial. Consumers and businesses might limit their investment and transactions to national markets where they know the system, if they are not confident that the system in the neighboring country also gives them guarantees. And small businesses very often lose out because of the very high transaction cost, and for instance because they cannot recover the debts, and because they need a lot of costs in order to get papers from judicial institutions in the neighboring countries. So all this has to go. It is a part which is important in order to make all our actors in this market to feel confident. I know consumers are in love with digital downloads, high-speed internet, mobile phones. That's wonderful, success story. But they feel very frustrated when they try to take advantage of the single market. And that is why it is the aim of this Commission to break down the barriers in the online world and to enhance mutual trust, because that will serve everybody. It will serve our consumers, our citizens, it will serve our industry, and it will serve our economy. So please help me to do that.